Hi everyone, and welcome to the Aries February 2022 Illumination reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot, a place for you to better connect with and illuminate your own spiritual importance. So this reading specifically is meant to help you find the meaning in the challenge or challenges you are currently experiencing so that you are better able to see your path and purpose and how it can be of service to others. All right, so Aries, we're going to jump right in here. I'm going to go ahead and start by pulling a card for your energy. So we're going to be taking a look at your internal energy, the energy of what's going on in your external environment, and then what Spirit is looking for you to gain as far as either a lesson or the meaning out of engaging with, engaging your internal experience with your external environment. Let's see, Aries, what are you all sitting with for the month of February? I don't know about you guys, but I'm filming this already in the first couple days of February, and the energy has definitely shifted. It feels like all of a sudden it's time for fast-paced movement. Just my personal experience. So I see right here, Aries, internally you're sitting with the Nine of Pentacles and the World. There's a feeling of leaving a comfort zone, that a level of independence has been reached and a start of a new cycle is beginning for you. So in your external environment, we have the Five of Wands, we have the Eight of Swords, and we have the Six of Cups. All right. And at the heart of your reading, oh, beautiful. We have the Ace of Pentacles. So this is your why. This is what Spirit is asking you to go through this challenge that we'll get a little bit more deeper into here. And it's all because there is a new opportunity, so the Ace of Pentacles is the seed of something that is to be nurtured and grown. And this is a great, a great reason to brave connecting with some challenge right now that you're going through. So the Nine of Pentacles and the World. For internal energy, this is showing me that there is something around closing out a cycle where either a certain level of independence has been reached and it's time to let that go, or where there may have been a perception of what would make you feel like the Nine of Pentacles, which is someone who has achieved quite a bit. They are comfortable in their lifestyle. They are able to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And what's interesting is that it's one pentacle away from closing out a cycle. So we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Ten of Pentacles. And then from the Ten of Pentacles, we would go back to the Ace of Pentacles. So there's something here around this new opportunity, perhaps not adding to what you had once perceived as a kind of ultimate level of independence for yourself. There's a feeling here of realizing that as you worked towards this level of independence, that maybe it was not quite as fulfilling as you had hoped it would be. And with the World coming in, it's showing that there is a large end to a cycle, and that it's time to celebrate the lessons that you've learned, to celebrate the challenging era. And I'm going to call it era because when the World comes up, this is really when there is that finality to a cycle. And generally it's longer than just, okay, I've been here for a year and I'm wrapping things up. I've gone through a part of my soul's journey. And now it's time to start fresh. And you're sitting with this energy perhaps of a little bit of, I'm just looking here intuitively, looking at kind of the faces of these two characters in these cards, and they're kind of looking at each other. There's an element of realizing that something, again, around independence or achieving a certain level of achievement, that you did achieve it. It just didn't feel and kind of come to be what you had hoped, and now it's time to release that. And what I'm seeing in your external environment with the Five of Wands, the Eight of Swords, and the Six of Cups, there is a feeling here of a little bit of kind of chaos in your external environment. And I don't mean chaos in that it's, crazy and it's let's see, how can I put this? Not that everything in your external environment is kind of falling apart, but that there's a level of having to kind of go out there and get your hands dirty again. The Five of Wands can be a card that, it does denote a little bit of maybe conflict, but it can also be where we jump back into something to test our skills, to take action perhaps in an area that we need to gain a little bit more experience in. And so we take our wand to kind of go out there and practice with other people's wands. But with the Eight of Swords, this is when we are trapped by our own thoughts. When we feel that there's no way out and we are stuck. And in reality, this card is an illusion. It's an illusion that even though this character may seem like she's bound by rope, she's blindfolded and surrounded by swords, her feet are not bound. She's standing, and there's actually nothing preventing her from moving forward except what she's choosing to believe is in her way, what she's choosing not to be able to see. So there's a feeling when the Eight of Swords comes up of baby steps, of taking one step forward and seeing how far you can get with each little step until finally you realize, well, I've taken 10 steps and I've hit nothing. The way must be clear. And so I do get a little bit of that. It might seem a little hard right now with you trying to maybe test the waters, but feeling like perhaps you're trapped by something in your environment that is not allowing you to fully embrace, maybe jumping into this new endeavor that it looks like you're being invited to kind of get out there and get into. And then we have the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups is a beautiful energy of nostalgia. It's the energy of looking fondly on the past, of actually going back to the past and emotionally connecting with a version of yourself where we can sometimes bring forward a gift from our past self, meaning we sit back and realize that there's something as we've gotten older that we've missed that is a unique talent, or that we at one point had greatly emotionally connected to, and which had really made us maybe feel excited or joyful and engaged with life, and where we kind of left that behind. And what Spirit is kind of asking you to engage with right now is that, yes, it can be kind of scary to leave a comfort zone. It can be scary when we realize that what we've been working towards for the past 5 years, 10 years, maybe even for some of you 25 years, that it just didn't come to feel as good as you were hoping in achieving what you were working towards achieving. And what Spirit's asking you right now is, can you accept that the past is the past at this point, that the whole reason why you went through that journey to get here, even if you realize that this level of achievement still isn't emotionally fulfilling in the way that you had hoped, can you take those lessons forward and be able to go out and try again? And with more of a feeling of remembering who you were prior to the experience that you've been going through. Because that is where the opportunity lies. There's a feeling here of connecting with a version of yourself prior to this most recent cycle for you that I can say probably was a little difficult, because it is hard when we have our eye towards a goal and we work hard for that and we feel like we've struggled, and the level of independence, success, and kind of peace that we were hoping for doesn't materialize. And what ends up happening is then when we are meant to basically carry forward and start a new cycle, we often feel like this, feel like we're trapped. We're trapped by the fears of the past, the fears of, well, I spent so much time doing this, what if it happens again? And that's when we can kind of get stuck, where we're clinging to what little bit of independence or security or whatever we've achieved, and yet it's not fulfilling us. And that's when we can become very disengaged with life. We can also become kind of bitter. We can, I like to use the word jaded, where we kind of feel that our efforts are meaningless, instead of realizing that the power always lies for us to manifest what we would like and need for ourselves in the small day-to-day decisions and actions that we take. And this is a reminder of that, of sometimes it's baby steps that illuminate for us that we are truly free. And that in addition to that, it's about going back to hold up who you are now and the lessons you've learned, and hold that up against who you were before this kind of chapter and this journey towards a goal started, and be able to pull forward that version of yourself into now, but with the lessons learned, so that you can now take advantage of a new opportunity that's coming, but with a fresh perspective, with a, I believe, stronger perspective, and be able to truly grow what will become a legacy that you are starting, that you are starting with the clarity of, again, the lessons learned at this point. All right, so let's see, Aries, we're gonna pull some cards here to clarify really what are the challenges and main blocks that are preventing you from being able to kind of release something that might have at one point felt like it would be satisfying or had all the hope and potential to be emotionally fulfilling, and which is kind of a little disappointing. And what's preventing you from going out and embracing your power to try again, to take this new opportunity that's coming. All right, so we have the Knight of Wands and the Page of Wands. Beautiful. We have the Seven of Pentacles. Okay. And let's see, we're going to get a couple more cards here. Let's see. What else does Aries need to know about the challenge and blocks? Six of Swords. Always love this energy. Oh, and the High Priestess. Okay. Ending on a very powerful note there. All right, Aries. So the Knight of Wands is in your challenge position here. And the Knight of Wands can be a fun energy. This is an energy when we are going out and basically doing what feels good. The Knight of Wands is an expert in taking up others on opportunities that come in out of the blue. It's an energy of kind of like what you see here, just celebrating the feeling of freedom. But where the Knight of Wands can have kind of a dark side, a shadow side, is when we embrace this energy too much, we can also become somebody who is not trustworthy, because we may, on a whim, break a contractual agreement, or we may tell somebody we're going to do this, but in reality, when the time comes, something else catches our attention and we do that instead. And there can be a lack of focus that is seen with the Knight of Wands. Now, what I'm feeling here more is that it's not about the fact that you have been, let's say, not reliable, or that you haven't been able to commit. It's more that there's a level of feeling here of being unfocused, because what comes after this is the Page of Wands. So we're actually going from the Knight down to the Page, and it's remembering that it's not about the wands that are out external to us, which is kind of more what the Knight of Wands is. There's this feeling of, I'm going to go out and find what feels good, where the Page of Wands is more about this childlike energy of playing with your wand. And that wand is your eternal flame. That is your wand that connects you specifically to what makes you feel passionate. What are you passionate about in the external environment that connects you, that connects your authentic self to what's going on externally to you. And so there's this feeling here of kind of needing to get back to this more pure version of who you are, what lights your eternal flame, and bringing more of a childlike innocence to that. Remembering that it's you that holds the wand, and it should be fun as you take it's. I'm seeing this connected directly to the Five of Wands over here, that it's time to focus and not kind of be, not a lack of focus where you're like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do a little bit of that. I'm going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of that. It's remembering that, again, the passion starts from within. We do not seek it from without. And so there's an element here of Spirit saying, let's take it down a notch. Remember that working with passion is meant to be fun and not as challenging as some people might believe it to be. And I get this feeling that perhaps whatever you were chasing did start with a passion, but that it got almost a little out of hand. It got a little out of control, or that it was muddied by trying to chase something outside of yourself. Because then as we move into the Seven of Pentacles is where we have, so this is the heart of your reading, the energy that Spirit's asking you to embrace as to help you move through this challenge. And the Seven of Pentacles is when we get a chance to stop and evaluate with Spirit what we've grown in our physical plane. Meaning we get a chance to take a look and say, okay, I've planted this plant, I have watered it, I've taken action towards growing it. Now I'm going to step back and take a look and sit with Spirit and say, was this really what I was hoping to grow? I thought I was planting an apple seed, but now when I look at this tree, it looks like it's an oak tree and there's no apples growing on it. And this is when you have to really sit with Spirit and be honest with yourself to say, well, is this what was intended for me and I can roll with it? Or is this that tough realization of what I had intended to create did not come to be? But that doesn't mean that I can't start fresh. It doesn't mean that I can't take one of these rootstock and try again. Or realize from my past mistake that, okay, when I went to buy what I thought was an apple seed, well, now I know that those are oak tree seeds, even though technically I know oak trees don't grow from seeds, but well, I guess I kind of do, acorns. but now I can recognize that an apple tree seed is actually what I thought that was. It was an acorn to grow an oak tree. And now I'm going to allow Spirit to illuminate that for me and to understand that I can actually walk away from this. It's okay to walk away from something that we had put time and energy into, because there's always a new opportunity. And we, just like for anybody who actually has grown anything or planted anything, you can realize that sometimes, you put your time and energy into a plant and you realize it's dying or it just never kind of thrives. And it's not for us to continue to keep putting energy into something that doesn't really seem to be manifesting into what we would like to have with all the time and energy we put into. Instead, we can stop and say, let me try with another species of plant, or let me try maybe with, instead of this type of plant that needs this kind of water and this type of environment, maybe I'm going to try to start with indoor plants first, and then I'll try to go outside and grow a garden. It's that feeling here of realizing it's okay to walk away from something. And that's what the Six of Swords is about. The Six of Swords is a beautiful energy of transcendence. It's an energy of being able in the mind to release all of the kind of worry and hurt that has led up to this point, and to move on. And there's a feeling of, actually, when this card comes in, of almost like moving on to greener pastures. You're literally in your mind transcending on a spiritual level what you have experienced up to that point. And it's what allows us to, it's a powerful energy for us to realize that maybe what we maybe thought once in our environment was what we were always going to have to deal with, that when we transcend those limiting beliefs, we can actually see from a new perspective, and in doing so be able to take different action that allows us to then actually in our external environment transcend our circumstances in that realm as well, because we no longer see them as limiting or that there was no way around it. So that's really what Spirit's asking you to embrace here, is to get back to clarify really what is your one passion, not your multiple passions, your one passion. Remember that passion is meant to be fun, to be played with, and to kind of get back to that feeling, so that as you reevaluate what you've actually grown from the efforts you've been putting in, that you can hold that up against your wand of passion and realize it maybe doesn't hold true to what excites me. Maybe there's an element of a failure to thrive, and Spirit's asking you to move on from that, to move on in a mental space, because then your final challenge here is the High Priestess. And this is when there is a decision to be made, and we understand that we can go within and make that decision. There's a feeling of, I already know. I already know what I want to walk away from. I already know what I want to do. But there's also a lack of action that comes in with the High Priestess. This is when we are sitting with that internal knowledge, that internal feeling of, okay, I've made that choice. But now it's time to get out and take action. And yes, it's going to feel a little chaotic. It's going to feel a little like you're bringing your wand to the party all of a sudden, and you might be doing it in a different capacity. Maybe you realize this could be a work effort, and maybe you realize you've been pushing in one field of work or a business you started, and it just wasn't growing. But now you can take the same passion and perhaps get out there and use it in a slightly different way. And that might be scary. It might be scary because maybe you've been working in the same business or place of work for 10 years, and now you have to get back out there and kind of see what your passion's worth on the open market. And that can make you feel a little like you're bound, like there's a lot of unknowns. But what Spirit's asking you to overcome that is to remember that who you are. Remember your unique core strengths. Go back to the gifts of who you are innately as an individual. And I like to say as your original self, which is you as a child. Go back and dig deep to bring forward some aspect of yourself that ties directly to your original passion. And that's what's going to help you kind of break this feeling of being stuck. And it's going to allow you to take advantage of a new seed that is going to be more in alignment with what Spirit would like you to plant at this time. Okay, Aries, this is actually a really beautiful message. I'm going to go now and I'm going to pull a card for the concept of curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And this is where we're going to engage the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool I use in my practice to help take what's a very general message and turn it into an individualized experience for you, so that you can keep these points in mind and ask yourself questions throughout the month that bring points of awareness to your experience that will help with your spiritual growth. All right, Aries, let's see. What does Spirit want you to be curious and open to this month, so that you can become aware of something you were not already aware of? Something that will help you take advantage of this new opportunity and to be able to even recognize what this new opportunity is. Okay, wow, we have 3 cards. All right, let's see what's in here. We have patience, number 16, breaking down to a 7. We have attachment, number 5, and we have deceit, number 25, also breaking down to a 7. So there is a feeling here. I always feel with this patience card that there's a feeling of the Wheel of Fortune coming through from the tarot, that she is holding the clock of time, but it's showing that even in the stillest of moments, even when everything may look dead or frozen or unmoving, the Wheel of Fortune is always alive and burning and moving. And so there may be this feeling of nothing's happening or nothing has happened. And this is a reminder of Spirit to say, be open to, as you move forward, that there is patience that's going to have to be involved with maybe replanting a seed. But with attachment and deceit coming through, Attachment is a card that really brings in the energy of, you can see she's holding a mask. And it's this attachment to portray, and you can see also here, I don't know if it's kind of hard in this card because it's very dark, but she is also chained to this post. So she's chained to a post and she's holding a mask. And it's a feeling of being chained to a version of yourself that you maybe have put on for others, or that you don't want to release because you're afraid of what maybe you're going to be seen as now, or you're afraid yourself of what you're going to see about you once the mask comes off. And with deceit, this card for me always brings in these type of readings, self-deceit. This is when we tell ourselves we can't do it again, or we don't. It's more of like the Eight of Swords energy. It's when we tell ourselves we can't, there's no way, I don't have enough, I can't start again. And with all three of these together, patience, attachment, and deceit, and I'm going to say self-deceit, there is this feeling of where can you be curious about detaching from a version of yourself you have tried to cling to. And this can be where we even get into this. For some people, it can be as deep as you are clinging to a version of yourself where you were always the provider in a family, or you were maybe it was the opposite. Maybe you're the one that has always been off kind of doing your own thing and somebody else was providing for you. Or this could be where you were always in your own mind a entrepreneur. And so you told yourself, okay, that's who I am. That's how I sell myself to everybody. Everything I do is around me, holding true to this external version of myself that I'm an entrepreneur and I'm never going to work for somebody else. And so I'm going to keep working and working and working towards making my own business work because I don't work for other people. I'm an entrepreneur. Or this can be where we tell ourselves, I'm an artist, or I'm a writer, and everything else around me doesn't matter because I'm a writer and I'm an artist. And so we often, when we get into that kind of place, we end up deceiving ourselves to a certain extent because we are not allowing ourselves to be open to other avenues of opportunity around us when we pigeonhole ourselves like that. Now, I'm not going to deny that, yes, you may be a writer or you may be an entrepreneur, and you may feel that in the core of your being, and that is tied directly to your authentic self. But we are more than just a label. We are more than just what we try to present to the world. And I know that's hard, Aries, for you to hear because your motto as an astrological sign is I am. And so it's very important for you. Your whole soul's journey is to really embrace to discover and embrace who you are on a deep level, so that when you say I am, it resonates to your core what comes after that statement. But where we can get tied a little too much to an I am statement is when it comes very much from a place of ego. Now, ego is not necessarily bad. Ego is actually you. We all have a place of ego because we all need to understand where we are separate from others. But where ego shifts the balance between all of the other aspects of ourselves is when we are so focused on this version of ourselves, this external version, or proving to ourselves that we are this thing, that we are the writer, that we are the entrepreneur, that we are the provider. And that's where we can deceive ourselves that maybe there are no opportunities for us, or that things are not happening in the way that we want them to be. And instead, where can you be curious about if you kind of take a step back and understand that the wheel is always turning behind the scenes, that even in what looks like something is frozen or dead or that you're not moving forward, that to have the faith that it is. Time stands still for no man, technically, or woman, or what you choose to identify as. And in understanding this, if you knew that you had time to replant something that would be more in alignment with a true passion of yours, what would that be? And to leave yourself curious and open to opportunities that might come in around this passion. And it may seem small, but patience is letting you know that if you take advantage of that, it will in time grow into probably what you were hoping for originally, and again, more in alignment with yourself. All right, let's go ahead now and pull a card for the concept of courage, and we'll see what Spirit would like you to be aware of as to where you should have the courage to take action, or what you should keep in mind as you are gaining the courage to take the difficult action steps this month. We always need to remember that our place of personal empowerment is in the decisions we make every day. And it's in the small decisions and the small actions we choose to take that really define and create the environment we live in for ourselves, the experience of our own life. All right, so we have two cards that came out. We have Surrender the Drama, and we have Surrender to Prayer. All right, so surrender the drama. It says, no matter how emotionally charged the situation, remain calm and don't contribute to the drama. Staying centered will help resolve the issue more quickly. And then we have surrender to prayer. Give yourself over completely to prayer. When you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe, and answers and support will arrive. And I think this is really beautiful together, because surrender the drama, when I see this come up in this position, when we're thinking about having the courage to take action, when we make the decision to maybe change which way we're going to go, maybe we do have to make that hard decision to walk away from something that we've half grown, or from something that, again, no longer works. And that can create drama. That can be where other people in our lives might want to argue with us. A little bit of this Five of Wands. That can be that little bit of chaos where people don't understand why you want to walk away from something, or why you want to try something new, or why you want to focus on this one passion instead of what you've been focusing on up to this point, or as you release your attachment to a version of yourself. And that can bring up in other people an element of, well, we worked so hard on this together and now you want to walk away from it, or you've always been the provider and now we're not going to have a steady of an income. How is this going to work? And what Spirit's asking you to remember is that it's not about you proving to another that what you're feeling and know deep within you is the decision to make. It's not about arguing with somebody until they see it as correct. It's about stepping into a place of deep faith and knowing that it's the right way for you, and that you can communicate it in that way. And in being able to stay calm and simply to communicate the changes that need to be made and why. Why is it time to walk away from something that isn't working, or that hasn't grown into something that you wanted, or that something is not what you thought you would emotionally connect to? That often when we come from a place of being able to speak from an emotional place, it's very easy for somebody else to also emotionally connect with that and to empathize. And if it can stay in a calm place without you trying to force them to agree with you, but instead allow the other person to realize what you're feeling and to see the why, that's how we can continue to have the courage to take action. Because as we take that action that is difficult, we can simply state to another that this is what I have to do and this is why, instead of wasting energy on getting into an argument and trying to have the other person tell you that what you're doing is right. Instead, Spirit's asking you to rely on your own deep faith that it is right for you, but to be patient with others in your external environment as you make these moves, but continue to make them. Because the surrender to prayer, I really love this for you guys. There's this feeling of when we pray, and especially when it says when you pray from your heart, you will be heard throughout the universe. There is a trueness to when we tap into our heart center, our heart chakra, we move away from the ego and up one chakra to the heart. There is this elevation of our ego being able to shine through our heart chakra, and the energy of love is at a much higher vibrational frequency than our egoic center, which is one chakra down. And it's amazing that when we tap into that element of love, and to be able to do that often is when we connect to a unique passion of ours, where when we start to vibrate at that level and we literally kind of throw our hands up and say, I love this. I want to do this. I want to feel the love that comes from whatever new choice I want to make, whatever new opportunity I want to take, whatever I want to put my passion and energy into. I love this version of myself. That it's amazing how that is really the key to manifestation. That's the key to others in your immediate environment being able to pick up on that resonance. It's also allows you to clarify for yourself what is in your heart. When we think of prayer, that is a private act between you and God, you and the universe, you and the unknown, however you choose to see what is beyond our experience, the unknowable. And that is a place for us to be completely honest. And sometimes it can shock us what comes out in that moment of complete connection and deep honesty. And I think that's really what Spirit's asking you to do here, is to be honest on a soul-based level. What is your soul crying out to do? What is your soul crying out to walk away from? Because once you really understand that, that's when the ship arrives and you're able to sail on to calmer waters. That's when you get to transcend both spiritually and internally, and to move on physically as well. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull a final card for the concept of contemplation. And this is a final overarching message, something that Spirit would like you to keep in mind throughout the month of February, as to a reminder as you're taking action and you're looking at the consequences of those actions. How are those consequences in alignment to the message or the energy of this card? It's kind of a point of holding yourself self-responsible to taking action. Okay, what would Spirit like all Aries to be reflective on for the month of February, so that they can better see the new opportunity coming in and to be brave enough to take it? Okay, so we have the Age of Light. It says you've been training for this for lifetimes. And it says, Starseed, what lights you up? This is quite the ending here. So with what lights you up, that's exactly what you're being asked to step into here with going from the Knight of Wands back to the Page of Wands. It's a clarifying time. What actually are you passionate about? What one passion, if you could follow in this moment, would you take action towards and leave the past behind? If you had a boat coming in and you could only take one thing with you that you could nurture and grow into your legacy, what would that one thing be? And when it says you've been training for this for lifetimes, there's a feeling here of a time of deep spiritual realignment. With you've gone through a time that was, in going through that difficult time, it unlocked key talents and insight into your own personal strength. And what is coming in now is more in alignment truly with who you are as a unique individual. And you're being given this gift from the divine now saying, this is time. This is the true opportunity. And don't worry. Yes, you may have to release a part of yourself that you have always identified yourself as in some respect. But now it's time to realize that this time is what all of that was for. And you've got this. Beautiful message, Aries. I know, I feel a little bit like, I think you guys are kind of in this like in-between space. I just feel that. And I think this is a beautiful opportunity this month to clarify, to kind of clear out, to kind of put the final stamp on the past. And it's time to move on towards a decision you know you need to make, and to brave making that decision, because therein lies the new opportunity. All right, Aries, I hope you all have a wonderful February. If you would like to illuminate your own personal spiritual importance and to see how it can be of service to yourself and others, you can click on the link in the description box below to visit my website to book a personal reading or a one-on-one coaching session. I'll also be releasing mid-month love readings, since it is Valentine's Day this month in just a week. And then I will be releasing the schedule for March's Illumination reading in the next 2 weeks. I hope, again, you all have a wonderful February, and I will see you for the mid-month readings. Bye, Aries.